The Sweet 16 is officially upon us. 7 SEC teams, almost half the field, make up the Sweet 16, and we've got some electric games as those 7 try to punch their tickets to the Elite 8 in pursuit of the national championship and playing in San Antonio. We are here previewing, predicting, and breaking down each of these games featuring each and every single SEC team. Hello, everyone. I'm Chris Phillips. He is lead basketball analyst here at SEC Unfiltered, Dave Shumate, and we are fired up to be back talking the second weekend of the NCAA Tournament. Guys, as always, make sure you like, subscribe, turn on notifications. Check us out via podcast where we get your podcast. You can also find us across all social media platforms as well as our website, secunfiltered.com. And as always, guys, we're powered by our friends over at FANDUEL. Visit FANDUEL.com/SECU to join today. Get started with $200 in bonus bets when you win your first $5 bet. Once again, that's FANDUEL.com/SECU to get $200 in bonus bets today. The SEC sent a record 7 teams from one conference to the Sweet 16. Now those 7 fight for an opportunity to advance later in the second weekend to the Elite 8, and obviously beyond that to the Final 4 in San Antonio. We are here previewing, predicting, and breaking down each of these games this weekend. I am Chris Phillips. Joining me, as he always does, my good friend and lead basketball analyst at SEC Unfiltered, Dave Shumate. Dave, what's going on, man? Appreciate you taking the time. It was a successful opening weekend in the NCAA tournament for the SEC. You and I talked, of course, earlier this week. A lot of folks out there thought, oh, the SEC's off to a slow start. Maybe the conference was overrated. The SEC flexed their muscles. A record 7 teams that find themselves in the Sweet 16. Really excited to see the action continue this weekend. And those 7 obviously fight to advance.
Yeah, I mean, the big conversation for a long time, as it should be, because it's what people care about in the months of February, end of February, early March, is who's getting into the tournament. We ended up finding out 14 out of the 16, we know. But a real strength are determining how strong a conference is. The biggest thing that stands out to me is how many teams you get to that second weekend of the tournament. Because that's where because I feel like everybody, you break conference play up after 2 months, those first 2 weekends. For most teams, granted, the SEC this year was a little bit of an exception. You could have Vanderbilt, Alabama. But for the most part, you're not seeing a conference foe at most conferences in most years until probably the second weekend. They do it on purpose. So I think the first weekend tells you how strong a conference can be. You get 7 teams in. 7? I mean, 7 out of the 14 that got in, half of them advanced to the second weekend. Just proves how deep the SEC was across the board. So I honestly think that's almost more impressive than getting the 14 into the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, a record, obviously, Dave. The previous record was 6 from one conference. The SEC now has set that record with 7. And I'd be hard-pressed to imagine that record will be broken anytime soon, unless it's maybe the SEC.
Even probably by the SEC, yeah.
Yeah, it's probably going to have to be by the SEC again. But, again, a record 7 teams. Dave, before we get going, again, we're going to talk each of these games in the Sweet 16, give our predictions, all that good stuff. I want to bring this up and get your thoughts on this because the hot topic, the narrative this week, really since you and I last spoke, the hot topic this week has been that this was the most disappointing or underwhelming first round opening weekend of the NCAA tournament. Maybe there's a feeling we didn't get the buzzer beaters and the big time upsets, but you as someone who loves the game of basketball, you watch that opening weekend, you see the matchups we now have because of that. Your thoughts on just, and it's been from everyone, from your smallest of shows to Stephen A. Smith and ESPN going out there saying college basketball is dying. The sport is dying because Cinderellas are disappearing. But I know you've obviously got a very, very different take on what we saw from the first 4 days of March Madness.
Yeah, I'm not that upset we didn't get – our perfect world would be, let's get 1 3-14, 2 12-5. I think people be okay with a 2-15. But at the end of the day, that's cool in the moment. But I think long term, long game, look at the Sweet 16 matchups we got this weekend, CP. Alabama BYU's an NBA game from a perspective of style, some of the athletes that'll be in there, high scoring affair. Florida, Maryland, Florida playing as good as anyone in the country right now, arguably the best team. I know they got scared by UConn, but still, Florida over the last month has been the best team. Maryland has a phenomenal starting 5, could compete with anyone. Love that matchup. Duke, Arizona, we've seen it once already this year, but everybody thinks, can Duke be beaten? You're hearing it in every preview this week. Can they be beaten? Texas Tech, Arkansas. I mean, that's an old Southwest battle, conference battle matchup right there. Two teams that are familiar with each other. That's a fun matchup. You got John Calipari there. Michigan State, Ole Miss. Maybe if you were ranking the games, would probably be the least interesting. But when you CP, let's think about it. When you break down the coaching matchups, it's awesome. Tom Izzo versus Chris Beard. I mean, if you're just looking at the logo, I mean, Ole Miss, Michigan State, a little random in basketball. But when you're talking the coaching matchups, I think it only intensifies it. Tennessee, Kentucky for a third time. I mean, come on, we're an SECU. We're an SEC unfiltered. Like we know what that means. Third time, so those two big rivals. Someone's ending someone else's season. Speaks for itself. Auburn, Michigan, I think this is a very entertaining game across the board here. 2 7-footers, Lad Golden, Danny Wolf for Michigan versus the big front court, Janai Broom, Dylan Carter. What's going to break? I mean, this is strength on strength here. Then Houston, Purdue, I think one of the more underrated games there. But how does Houston defend Braden Smith, who leads the point guard, one of the best point guards in the country for Purdue, which will essentially be a Purdue home game in Indianapolis, CP. CP, you think it's weird they're playing – we're used to it in Final Fours, them playing in a football stadium. But they're playing at Lucas Oil in this regional. And me and Bear on the overtime drive last night, I looked it up. We were like, are the Pacers like in town? The Pacers play at home Friday night at the field house. But hey, that's just poor scheduling there. I did look it up, though, CP. They're not placing the court in the middle of the football field, though. They're putting it like Syracuse does at the Carrier Dome, like in the corner. So it's not going to look like on TV a massive football stadium. I mean, maybe the depth perception a little bit compared to other arenas, but it's not going to look like the Final Four where the floor's risen a little bit and the bench is low. You know what I'm talking about? So I was like, it's just, man, if it's going to go to Indy, put it in a basketball arena.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan, Dave, of basketball games in football stadiums. It's just odd to me. It's strange, especially if it's not the national championship, to your point. Echoing some things you said, Dave, again, I think I understand it. You and I had this conversation earlier today off air. I think from the casual fan that doesn't watch college basketball all season long and doesn't really like appreciate the game, because if you did appreciate it, you would watch it throughout the regular season. At least conference play. Those are the people that are most upset we didn't get 16 beating ones, 15 beating twos. If you just like high-level basketball, a high quality of the game, again, this Sweet 16 is like your dream. I mean, you just ran through all of them. We're going to go through these matchups. You got great matchups. I mean, you want the best teams to be there, man. Like, that's who you want there.
I think it's a little bit like this, CP. You tell me if I'm wrong here. Again, we were debating in our SECU group message, like what was the best week of sports. Some people say the Masters. Some people will say the NCAA Tournament. Sorry if you heard my son read it knocking on the door. But I feel like it's to me, because, again, I like golf. I love playing golf. Not a big golf watcher. Self-admitted it. So I feel like it's like this, CP, and you're a golf watcher. You tell me if I'm wrong on this. I feel like the people who want to see the big upsets on the first 2 days of the NCAA Tournament or first weekend are kind of like, hey, I'm just joining in for the entertainment. I want to be joined in. I want to be entertained. I want a down-to-the-wire dramatic game. That's how I am on Sunday at the Masters. I want it to be close. But somebody may be, damn, what a performance by Scottie Scheffler. I mean, I know he won by 4 strokes, but hell, man, they got put on a performance all week since Thursday. It's beautiful. I'm not like that. Whereas in basketball, I'm like, dude, Florida-UConn, that was a phenomenal basketball game on Sunday afternoon. Florida got taken to the brink, and UConn may have played their best game all year.
Dave, the guy that wants to see the 16 beat the 1 and the 15 beat the 2 is the same guy who only wants to tune into the NASCAR race to see the crashes. And there's nothing wrong with that guy. He's a good guy.
Good analogy.
But that's why he wants to tune in. He doesn't really like NASCAR, and in this case, he doesn't really love college basketball, and that's okay.
He wants to see the buzzer beater, which is fine.
And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that, but it doesn't mean that in NASCAR, that race, or in college basketball, that game or that opening weekend wasn't still electric, because it was. And again, it led us to an even better product. I think when we get in the Sweet 16, even better game. So I think well said on your end. I think well said on both of our ends. I think there were a lot of, everybody wants to have kind of a hot take, and I'm not saying this was the most exciting opening weekend, obviously, but like to go as far as to say
it's killing the sport.
College basketball is just come on, man. It's only thriving. It's only
two things
getting
can
better.
Be true at once, like we always say on this channel, CP. It could have been not a very dramatic first weekend, but it doesn't mean the sport's done. I mean, dude, just you just had to wait an extra week for some extra really good basketball. Because again, we got what 1-6 seed in this thing, BYU.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I mean, it's not like years past. I think this is the first time, Dave, since a while that we don't have a double-digit seed, I believe, in the Sweet 16. But again, it's led to some incredible matchups. That being said, Dave, let's go through each of these matchups. Again, 7 SEC teams fighting for the opportunity to get to the Elite Eight, and obviously, of course, then San Antonio for the Final Four. Dave, let's start with – who do you want to start first with? Let's go with – how about the Alabama Crimson Tide? You want to go Bama? Let's go Bama,
we'll
BYU.
That's the first game.
Yeah, let's go Bama, BYU. This one's going to be a lot of fun. There on Thursday night, a 7:09 tip-off between 2-seed Crimson Tide, 6-seed Cougars. Alabama, Dave, is a 5.5-point favorite in this game. The over-under set at 175.5. Your thoughts on this matchup? You mentioned you called it an NBA game. Explain to the audience why.
Well, Kevin Young's coming over for the NBA. Remember, we are SEC fans. Remember, Mark Pope, for the people who are just joining us in basketball season, came from BYU. So his fingerprints are still a little bit on this program, but Kevin Young coming over from the NBA, his first year, they've done a phenomenal job. I mean, you watch some of Nate Oates', some press conferences, you've heard him on Sirius Radio since Bama's advanced, and they've known BYU's been their opponent. Like, you can tell we got to be locked in defensively. I mean, this is a team who scores their ass off offensively. I mean, according to Kim Palm, they're the 9th of adjusted efficiency offense. I mean, they do a really good job. Leave a little bit to be desired, a little bit defensively, but I think across the board, man, a lot of people are expecting this game to be in the 90s. I think, what is it, CP, the over-under right now?
173.5.
73.5. And, I mean, looking at the schedule right now for BYU, really, CP, since the Cincinnati loss on February 8th, this team's only lost one game. They've lost one. They've won, I think, 10 out of their last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah, they have. I think they have won 10 out of their last 11 basketball games. They've beaten Iowa State twice. The only hiccup you got here twice this year, if you're trying to compare, well, you got 2 common opponents for Ole Miss and for Alabama here in BYU. Ole Miss, BYU lost to Ole Miss back in November in overtime, and then Houston beat them bad twice. Well, Alabama beat Houston, but again, I think this game, CP, it's going to come down to I think it's going to be turnovers and rebounding for Alabama. Alabama probably is a little bit more bigger, more athletic, but man, BYU has some guys. Man, I going back watching some highlights of them last night. The Igor Dimon kid is the kid to keep an eye on from an NBA perspective. Richie Saunders can go off at any moment. He's one of their best overall players. And they got a 6'9" point guard. You haven't seen a ton of them. Kimba Kita. The one game I do remember, CP, is I stayed up late, which I don't know why because I have a 15-month-year-old. But they played Kansas and Provo like Monday night, not that long ago, honestly. Like, I'm looking at it now. Yeah, they played Kansas at home on February 18th, won 91-57, just kicked Kansas's ass. Now, I remember thinking the tournament, I was like, I could see it. I mean, there are going to be a lot of SEC teams in it. It's just like, I think an SEC team's going to play one of these teams. Like, think about it, if they play Alabama, both these teams going back at it. We get that. I think this is the most exciting, anticipated matchup in the round of Sweet 16. Opening game, starting us off. Woo! I don't know, CP. It wouldn't shock me either way with this one. I kind of feel like, you get a weird feeling. If Bama can get through this one, you may like them on Saturday, even if it's Duke, because I want to see Duke get challenged in a game. They haven't really been punched in the face in a long time. And like, hey, what do they like, CP, if a game's tied late? I know they beat North Carolina in the ACC tournament, but like, where your season's on a brink with a young team and you're in a game in the under 4-minute timeout. That's kind of the goal to get them there. But I think Bama, BYU, I give Bama the slight nod just because defensively, I think they're just a little better. I think whatever people you hear, CP, all the time, like, oh, Bama, this game's going to be defense optional. It's like, dude, they're not awesome defensively, but their pace is never going to allow them to be great defensively. So I think that's overused at times. I mean, you're looking at it right now. Bama's 29th in defense adjusted efficiency on Kim Palm right now. 29th. They were awful last year defensively, and they went to the Final Four, where BYU is 71st. So a pretty big gap. I think Bama gets the slight nod. I think this is going to be really fun. I highly encourage you to go take the over in this game.
Dave, I like Bama minus 5.5. I like the over. Actually, I lied. It's not 173.5. It's 175.5 right now. It opened at 173.5. So 175.5. like you said, the number's only rising. I do like the Crimson Tide in this one as well. I think Bama's athleticism is the difference in this one. Like you mentioned, I mean, let's not overcomplicate this thing. The Achilles heel for the Crimson Tide, it's turnovers. That's the thing that could get this game really squirrely. That's the game.
Look at it here too, CP. These are two almost spitting images. Not to this extent, but BYU isn't great with turnovers either. They're averaging close like 16 again. I mean, they're in that 189 range according to K-Pop. So these are two teams that are very like offensive heavy, run phenomenal sets, can score. Who can get the most stops? And to your point, CP, you turn in the basketball over, that's a stop. That's not a shot on goal. That affects you. I think who defends, turns the ball over the least, probably wins. Let's be honest, too, offensive rebounding. I mean, most three-pointers come off, especially for these two teams. They get a lot of their open looks from beyond the arc off offensive rebounds. So Bama's going to have to run BYU off. I think they do just a little bit better of a job defensively. I think Bama advances.
Yeah, I like Bama again. They were my national championship pick, Dave. So I'm definitely not backing off the Crimson Tide now. Funny enough, Dave, too, randomly enough, I did watch BYU a few times this season when they played Utah in the Holy War. I watched them a few times. Yeah, like you said, really good squad, really good.
Really, the only team that they couldn't, they just could not get a vibe on this year for them was against Houston. Like Houston blew them out twice.
Yeah. No, but I like Bama here, and again, I like Bama to cover. Actually, Dave, I think they pull away. Hot shooting night, I think, incoming for the Crimson Tide. Dave, let's go Florida and Maryland. This game following game one, Thursday, 7:39 p.m. Eastern time tip-off. The Gators are a 6.5-point favorite. The over-under is set at 156.5. And Dave, of course, obviously, let's talk about how these two teams got here, by the way. And let's go back to Bama. I want to talk about this, how the teams got to where they are. Bama, of course, going back to them, they beat Robert Morris, which was a really sloppy game for Alabama, 90-81. Beat St. Mary's 80-66, pretty dominating win. BYU beat VCU 80-71 and beat Wisconsin 91-89 in a thriller. So that's how Alabama and BYU got to where they are. You then take a look, Dave, at this Florida-Maryland matchup. Florida, of course, they beat the doors off of Norfolk State. 95-69, they beat UConn in that thriller, like you mentioned, 77. Take them to the brink, 77-75. You look at Maryland, Dave, they beat Grand Canyon 81-49 in their first game. And then Maryland, man, this is why I wanted to bring this up, Dave, how they got there, because if you didn't see it, Maryland with the buzzer beater beats Colorado State. Probably the best game of opening weekend.
That was definitely the best one. There was your Cinderella.
Did he travel? Yeah, did he? He probably traveled. He probably traveled. Either way, it doesn't matter. They beat Colorado State, and here we are, Florida and Maryland. Dave, your thoughts on this matchup and who you going with?
I like Michigan starting 5 here. I think they get worn down.
Maryland starting 5.
Sorry, Michigan. Sorry, Maryland's starting 5 here. Again, Derek Queen, phenomenal player. I've liked Julian Reese for a while. I feel like he's a senior, but I feel like we saw him in person 2 years ago when the Terps were in Birmingham when I went to that regional. And they beat West Virginia, and then I think and they lost Alabama in the second round. So I feel like Julian Reese has been one of their main guys. I like overall what Kevin Willard's done. I mean, you talked off air, CP. We like their little NIL comment the other day at the press conference. What do you like about Coach Willard so much? He paid us. He's a coach. He's a player's coach too. Hey, honesty, man. But no, I'm going to take Florida here, though. I think Florida kind of needed that check. And I know that's cliche to say, and it's easy to say after they win, but like, dude, I think Todd Golden thought they were about to lose that game, man. He saw a little, to what me and you talked about heading into that game, CP, a little, the 2-time defending champs. You look to your left over there, and their head coach is a total psychopath that would trade his mother for wins. Like, this guy will do anything to win. Thought UConn had a phenomenal game plan. Probably should have won the game, played one of their better games. Florida survives. But CP, let's be honest, how many teams that go on to win the national championship have a real reality check at some point in this tournament and hang on? Outside of UConn the last 2 years. They haven't really been challenged in the tournament. But normally, the team who wins it all, they have a little bit of a scare, like at some point. I think Florida could definitely learn from this. I think their depth is going to be way too much. And again, that's overstated at times. But again, Maryland only likes to play with about 5 guys overall. So, and Florida runs 10 deep, and there's not a lot of drop off outside of when Walter Clayton leaves the game. So give me the Gators. I think the Gators cover this in San Francisco too.
You got the Gators. You got the Gators covering. I'm also, Dave, going to go Florida here. I like the Gators. Again, I think to your point, they did need that scare. They did need kind of that reality check to, again, this is one of the best teams in college basketball, but, outlasting UConn. We knew that was going to be a tough game. You kind of felt like that was going to be, and I told you and told everybody, it scared the hell out of me. Everybody was on Florida minus 9.5. Sure enough, UConn covers the number. I don't know if I'll have a play on this one on the spread yet. I'm still going back.
Only 2 plays on Thursday, man.
Yeah, I'm still going back.
Bama minus 5.5, even though I don't feel awesome about that. I think BYU.
See, I love that one. I love Bama to cover. I love Bama to cover.
I'm going to take the Gators.
Yeah, this would be the spot I think they would blow them out. I do.
Golden going back to his old stomping ground. CP, he ain't losing where he used to be the head coach.
No, I don't think he's losing. Do I think Maryland? Do I think Maryland could lose by 6 and cover? Sure. And Dave, we got to highlight this. Potentially, if Florida does win, we potentially will have an SEC on SEC in the Elite 8. Something to keep in mind on, because the next game we're about to discuss, Thursday night at 10:09 Eastern, it's Texas Tech and Arkansas. The Arkansas Razorbacks take on the Red Raiders. Once again, the winner of this game will play the winner of Florida-Maryland. So, again, we very well could have SEC on SEC in the Elite 8. Dave, Texas Tech got here. They beat UNC Wilmington 82-72 in their opening game last weekend, then beat Drake 77-64 in the round of 32. Arkansas, of course, beats Kansas in that opening game where it seemed like nobody was picking the Hogs. They beat them 79-72. And then the matchup between John Calipari and Rick Pitino, Cal wins. He beats number 2 seed St. John 75-66, which I don't think, Dave, you were all that surprised because you weren't really all that high on the Johnnies to begin with. Arkansas advances. We now have Hogs and Red Raiders. Dave, I'm going to ask you this. By the way, the spread in this game, Texas Tech is a 5.5-point favorite. Over-under is 147.5. We got news today from John Calipari. Adu Thiero is going to play. He's going to be available in this game. 12 to 15 minutes is what Cal said. How does that change your thought on this game, if at all?
Interesting, because I think one of our first listeners up here, appreciating her listening, Miss Fight Night, mentioned that Thiero, she was worried it could throw the chemistry off. That's kind of my thought a little bit too. Like, they were worried about that when Boogie Flan came back, but Boogie's came back and gave him some real good minutes. I mean, it wasn't high scoring, but some real like blue collar, getting some boards, playing good defense. So he's helped him. So you're right, Miss Fight Night. That's a little bit of a concern. I could see that for sure. But as thin as this roster can get at times, you need bodies at least to pick up fouls and play a little defense. I mean, I think it could only help you. But CP, I messaged in the group today to change my pick. I was going with Arkansas, but man, I don't know. I'm going to go Texas Tech. This is a really well-coached team. Grant McCaskill, the guy could be doing probably any other thing in the world too, but he's a phenomenal basketball coach. JT Toppin, I think, is going to be a little much for him. I like what Elijah Hawkins, Darian Williams do at times. I don't know. I think this is a team that's kind of just – no one's really talking about him a lot. You know, to CP? Like, not a lot of people really talk about Texas. I don't know. I think they go win this game. I like Texas Tech. I think what Cal and them have done since the month of February, even in losses, he's done a phenomenal job motivating this team, getting everybody to come together. I mean, I think this team's had more players-only meetings, 6 in like 2 weeks, than any team ever. But no, I think it's time. It kind of runs up for the Razorbacks now. Again, nothing bad. I just think Texas Tech's a really good basketball team. I mean, JT Toppin's going to be tough for them. I don't know. I just feel Texas Tech in this one. That's what I've had since the tournament started in Florida, Texas Tech in the Elite 8. So what's going to change my mind now? Everybody who thought Drake may beat Texas Tech, didn't happen. I don't know. I think Texas Tech is a physical basketball team. Give me the Red Raiders, baby. Marcus McCaskill.
Dave, I think that we are going to get an SEC on SEC showdown in the Elite 8. I think it's going to happen.
In San Fran?
You know, Dave, something told you to change your pick today. Something's also telling me to change my pick today. And I was going Texas Tech.
Not on the same wavelength here, dude.
I was
getting wrong information.
And I was going Texas Tech. You know what? When you're hot, man. Cal's feeling it, man. I saw him on Pat McAfee show today at the gym. I'm like, this dude's feeling it, man. He's just riding high. The Hogs are hot. I mean, they are the definition of hot. Am I scared they might run out of gas? To your point, absolutely. But man, you know what? I'm gonna. This has been a chalky NCAA tournament. I don't hate the Texas Tech pick at all. But I'm gonna take a flyer and go Arkansas. I'm gonna switch my pick up too. I'm gonna take a flyer and go the Hogs. I am. See, that's the beauty of when the prediction graphic isn't made yet. You can make a last second adjustment. You can call a last second audible. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna go Hogs. Why not? Plus 198 on the money line. I'm gonna go Hogs. Give me John Calipari, man. They're hot. They're hot right now. They are hot right now. I think we get that Florida Arkansas. That's where I think it will end for the Hogs. But I think they got one. I got one more in me. I think they got one more in them. I think Arkansas's got one more in them. I'm gonna go with Woo Pig. I think this is the Elite Eight matchup.
I hope I'm wrong. I like what Cal have done, but
no, I like the Texas Tech pick. I don't know. I'm feeling the Hogs.
Texas flying under the radar.
Man. They are. No, I mean, I haven't heard much about them either. And I mean, look what they're doing. So
they again, really good offense, really efficient offense. Defensively, they're in the top 40 in any respectable numbers you look at out there. There's just not really a lot of weakness with this team. I mean, outside of looking at it right now, I mean, free throws attempted against them, but I mean, I don't know. I just think Texas Tech wins this.
Y'all hear that? Dave is a Arkansas hater. How dare he?
I'll be fired up to be on Arkansas's motivational video for the link to head to Oregon.
Just credit Dave Shumate SEC for that. Dave, let's go. Yes, this is the Friday game. This is getting us going on Friday, 7:09 p.m. Eastern. The Ole Miss Rebels, speaking of your quote-unquote Cinderella, they find themselves taking on the Michigan State Spartans in a battle. Michigan State, Dave, is -3.5, a close spread in this game. The over-under set at 143.5. Dave, of course, Ole Miss got here. They beat North Carolina in that first game, 71-64, then beat Iowa State, 3-seed Iowa State, and really wasn't close, 91-78, controlled that game from the jump. Michigan State beat Bryant, 87-62, then beat New Mexico, 71-63. Dave, Ole Miss doing pretty well for some guys that some folks out there called frauds, huh? So, Rebels and Spartans, Dave, who you going with in this one?
I'm gonna go Sparty, and again, I think this is one of the more underrated matchups because of who the head coaches are in this one. Chris Beard, obviously Tom Izzo, best coach in college basketball, in the current active coach, him and Rick Pitino. I don't know. I think Ole Miss. I'll be interested to see how Michigan State tries to defend Sean Padula here. What's kind of the game plan from that perspective? But again, we all remember. I mean, it makes us feel really old. Jason Richardson's son, is now on Michigan State for the SEC fans who haven't watched a lot of them, but really good basketball team. Jaden Atkins, Trey Holloman, Jeremy Fears, Frankie Fiddler. I mean, still a really good basketball team. You can tell Tom Izzo really likes this team. They'll throw a lot of bodies at you, really physical. I don't know. I think they overwhelm Ole Miss here a little bit. I had this matchup in the Sweet 16. I had Ole Miss in the Sweet 16, beating North Carolina, beating Iowa State. I thought they got Iowa State at a good time when they were banged up a little bit. But let's be honest. Ole Miss shooting close to 60% from three the other night. Not a lot of teams that are big. If they play like that on Friday night, they'll beat Michigan State. I don't think you see that performance replicated. Give me Izzo, baby. It's Izzo. It's March time. It's Tom Izzo. I think they get it done.
Dave, January, February, Izzo, April. Right? I love Hottie Toddy, man. I love what they've done to this point. Sean Padula is an electric factory. Who's the kid? Number 0 for Ole Miss? Who's Dia? Dude, he was awesome in that game against Iowa State. This is the one where we were just talking about Arkansas, and you mentioned you think the Hogs run out of gas in that one. I think Ole Miss runs out of gas in this one. What Chris Beard and them have done, has been incredible.
Chris Beard, one of the best in the sport. So I had him in the
one of the
16.
best. Yeah, one of the best. Incredible getting this at this point. I like Sparty, though, to your point, Dave. I think this is a great spot for Tom Izzo. I think they find a way. They will get it done.
He does have the X factor, Mark Adams, who storyline used to be the head coach at Texas Tech. We just talked about the Red Raiders a little bit. So
there you go.
He's got him on his staff, his little defensive guru. First time on his staff. He wasn't on his weird staff last year. But no, I'm with you. I think Ole Miss playing good. But if you told me Ole Miss played how they played against Iowa State,
I just don't think they can keep that up.
No, I don't think so either. If we're just going off like prisoner of the moment, that Ole Miss team would beat anyone. I mean, if you shoot close to 50% from beyond the arc, you're not losing many basketball games, if any. But no, I'm with you, CP. I don't think they replicated it in Atlanta.
Yeah. So we both got Michigan State in that game. Dave, let's talk about, I want to save the SEC on SEC matchup for last. Let's talk about the team they're going to play. It's the winner of Auburn and Michigan. This game will take place Friday night, 9:39 p.m. Eastern time. Auburn, Dave, is an 8.5-point favorite in this game. The over-under set at 153.5. The way these two teams got here, of course, Auburn beat Alabama State 83-63. They then beat Creighton 82-70. Michigan outlasted UC San Diego 68-65, and then beat Texas A&M, an SEC foe, obviously, 91-79. Dave, your thoughts on Auburn, Michigan? Does the number one overall national seed advance?
What a job Dusty May has done this year. The Wolverines won the Big Ten tournament. How about the battle we're going to see in the front court? Danny Wolf, a name Auburn fans should be familiar with. He was starting center for Yale, who beat Auburn last year in the first round. They got big Vlad Golden, who's on the FAU Final Four team, came over with Dusty May. A lot of familiar names for a lot of SEC fans and college basketball fans. Trey Donaldson used to be an Auburn Tiger. Transferred, this is his first year. Namari Burnett played at Alabama 2 years ago. So, some familiar faces. I'm excited for this matchup. A lot of the sets they run, their two bigs, Wolf and Golden, are phenomenal passers. I think it's going to be an interesting front court battle. I think that's where this game's going to be won. And I also think Namari Burnett's going to have a big game from beyond the arc. But I'm interested to see the front court battle: Golden, Wolf versus Carwell versus Broom versus Chaney Johnson. I'm excited for this. This is going to be a really physical game. I see a lot of people kind of split on this pick, and I am as well. But I'm going to give Auburn the nod here. Again, this game's in Atlanta. Be a pro-Auburn crowd. But again, I think there's going to be a lot of Michigan people too, maybe even some Ole Miss people because they haven't been there a lot. So, but I think it'll be predominantly Auburn fans, obviously, right there on I-85. You're not far from going off Auburn. Literally, you could hit a 9-iron right there from my house. But I'll be seeing the Auburn, and I'll see Bruce and them driving by on Thursday. But no, I got Auburn. I'm going to give Auburn the lean here. Would not be surprised, though. I'll say that, CP. If Michigan wins this game, zero surprise by me here. I'm just going to lean Auburn.
Yeah, Dave, it's the SEC versus the state of Michigan in Atlanta this weekend. Seems to be. No, I mean, I like Auburn as well. Yeah, you're going to be seeing the Auburn car flags a lot this week up there in the ATL of 185. No, I like the Tigers. I think that this is a team of, I don't want to say a team of destiny, but a team that's always was destined to be a Final Four at minimum type of team. Love what they've done, obviously, to this point. Keep things in check emotionally. I think they should be fine. Let's make sure Chad Baker-Mazara is not losing his cool. We're not getting any technicals, nothing crazy, nothing, going haywire, if you will. But I like Auburn to win too. I like Auburn in this spot. I do agree with you though. This is a very underrated matchup of the Sweet 16 matchups that I think could be really, really good. I mean, Dave, if I had to go one with the other, I'm probably going Michigan plus 8.5. I mean, I could see this being a
lot of points not to take that. I would agree. I probably would not touch this game, but if you made me, I would take Michigan plus 8.5. I agree.
Yeah. Dave, finally, last but certainly not least, and there is a reason I saved it for last, because my goodness, this game we have in store, Dave, Friday, 7:39 p.m. Eastern. The Tennessee Volunteers and the Kentucky Wildcats will do battle, SEC on SEC in the Sweet 16, and two teams and two fan bases who absolutely despise one another. The chatter this week on social media, the toxicity has been as you would expect. It has been incredible between Vol Twitter and Big Blue Nation Twitter and the back and forth. It has been awesome. Dave, Tennessee, a 4.5-point favorite in this game. The over-under set at 145.5. As we all know, these two teams have already met twice. Kentucky won them both. Now, as you look at how they got here, Dave, both Tennessee and Kentucky, Tennessee, of course, took down Wofford in their opening game, 77-62. They then beat UCLA 67-58. Kentucky beat Troy in their opening game, 76-57, then beat Illinois by a final score of 84-75. Mark Pope, obviously, is in the Sweet 16 in his first year in Lexington, and Rick Barnes trying to get past the Sweet 16. Dave, I have seen Tennessee people calling this the biggest game in the history of Tennessee basketball. Is that an over-exaggeration? Probably so, but that's how badly they want to win this one. Dave, your thoughts on the game, the matchup, just everything about this, man. I know you said that obviously Alabama-BYU is the game you're most excited about or the best matchup. Admittedly, this is the one for me, man. This is the one I can't wait to see.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I mean, biggest game in Tennessee history. I mean, Tennessee's been to a couple Elite Eights, obviously with Bruce Pearl just last year against Purdue. So I don't know if I'd go that far, but I get it from an emotional standpoint. I mean, how tough would that be for Tennessee fans to lose to Kentucky 3 times this year and then get eliminated in one of those 3 being in the Sweet 16 to end your season?
Dave, let me give you what the discourse will be. Fire Rick Barnes. Fire Rick Barnes. They'll be calling for
firing up the retirement party.
They'll be calling for Rick, man.
No, but I mean, you look back on the first 2, CP, you were at one of them. You were a witness at the one in Tommy Ball. I mean, Tennessee in both games from beyond the arc could not shoot the ball into the ocean from a boat. I mean, they shot 24%, 11 for 45 in that game you were at. In that first game
they threw up so many bricks.
And then the game at Rupp, Tennessee shot 16% from beyond the arc. So it's been really bad in both games there. And let's go look at Kentucky's numbers. Kentucky's in the game you went to, CP. Kentucky shot 50% from the field, 50% from behind the arc, 12 for 24 from behind the arc. Second game, exact same numbers, 50% from beyond the arc, 50% from behind the arc, 12 for 24 in both games. Is that not wild? In both their 2 games they played Kentucky, Kentucky is 12 for, or against Tennessee is 12 for 24 from 3. Can Kentucky do that again? And can Tennessee shoot as poorly again? Because Tennessee didn't turn the ball over much. I think it was single digits in both games. I think they out-rebounded them. Let me make sure I know they did in the first one. Yeah, Tennessee out-rebounded them in the second one. So if they can just shoot a little better and Kentucky not shoot out of their minds in this first game, that'd be key with how they defend Kobe Brea, who can get hot, one of the best pure shooters in the country. I like Tennessee, though. It's always easy to say it's hard to beat a team 3 times. I'm not one that believes that if the matchup makes up for it. Like, I don't think Kentucky would beat Alabama if they played again. I think Alabama would beat them for a 4th time. Alabama's beat Kentucky 3 times this year. I think it's a total matchup advantage. I don't think, like Rick Barnes said, this is a matchup problem. I don't think Kentucky – I think Kentucky shot out of their minds in these first 2, and I don't think Tennessee shot awful. Just you change that a little bit, maybe get a different outcome. We talked about it. This game's going to be played in a football stadium, folks, Lucas Oil. Where they do the combine, where the Colts play. It's a Final Four type setting, but I've heard they've changed it into a corner, kind of like the Carrier Dome does for Syracuse for people who've been there. So, like, just that depth perception, I don't know. I mean, obviously it'd affect both teams. Let's see how that – I'll be interested to see how both teams shoot the basketball in this environment and also how Tennessee defends Kobe Brea.
Dave, like you mentioned, I was at one of these games. I was at the game at the Tommy Bowl. And like I said, Tennessee threw up more
ball
bricks.
Fans were walking out, dog cursing.
Yes, Dave. Let me tell that story.
He's like, I'm serious.
Let me tell that story on air. Yeah, to your point. I mean, I went to that game. That was my first game ever at Thompson Bowling Arena. Went with a couple Tennessee buddies. Had Kentucky. You know, Kentucky fans. They attended it really, really well. Big Blue Nation chants coming into the game, and that was Tennessee and Kentucky again in basketball hate each other. They hate each other. So that was a really, really difficult loss for them. Yeah, as I'm walking out of the Tommy Bowl, I am surrounded by Tennessee fans that are essentially saying, I'm tired of mediocrity. Rick Barnes needs to go. It's the same old bad offense. Like, I'm done with Rick. Oh, yeah. I mean, people were – and if they lose this game, it'll be more of that and then some. And I love, as you say, Dave, I mean, if you hate finishing top 4 of the league every year, then, yeah, you do have the wrong coach. But, I mean, tough group to please in Knoxville. It's tough group to please. But, yeah, I mean, I was at that game. They threw up more bricks in that final 10 minutes than – I mean, they could have built a house, could have built a really nice house, all the bricks they threw up. Here's my thing on this game. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. If you fool me twice, you can't fool me again. I'm going with Kentucky again, man. I just, at some point, you just have a team's number. I think Kentucky has this team's number. This season, Kentucky has this team's number. I am surprised Tennessee is favored by as much as they are, which I think speaks to the point you're making, Dave. I think Vegas looks at the numbers too and probably says, hey, if they just shoot a little bit better, I mean, it's not like they got severely outplayed either time. They just went ice cold. But I think you got to give some credit to Kentucky for that as well. I'm going with Mark Pope and the Cats, man, to get the Elite Eight. I just, again, you've shown me twice. I've seen it twice. Why would I expect a different result? I mean, it's hard to beat a team twice, much less 3 times. They've already beaten them twice.
Yeah.
So, I like the Cats, man. Plus 152 on the money line. Give me Kentucky. And I think for Tennessee, it'll be another early exit, and who knows what this program looks like this time next year. It may not be Rick Barnes, but it might be by his own choice. So we'll see. I'm going Kentucky, though. I like the Cats.
You're going Big Blue.
I'm going Big Blue Nation. Yeah,
I don't hate it. I mean, again, you got to factor in Kentucky's playing good basketball right now, but I'm going to bank they don't keep up to 50% from beyond the arc for a third straight game. I'm going to bank Tennessee doesn't shoot under 25% from beyond the arc for a third game. I'm just going to go with the odds here. I mean, Tennessee's got the higher floor. For sure. I think Kentucky definitely has the higher ceiling, especially I think when they're healthy. But no, I mean, dude, this ticket in Indy is going to be wild. You got Purdue, who's right down the road. Kentucky and Tennessee fans aren't far, and they're for sure going to travel. I mean, Kentucky had been to a Sweet 16 since 2019. This may be the hard – people talk about Atlanta being a hard ticket to get. 3 out of these 4 teams are not far away and have passionate fan bases.
Dave, we've talked about 7 of the 8 games. You want to throw out a pick for this one just for fun? The 8th game, Friday, 10:09 p.m. Eastern time, Houston and Purdue. You mentioned Tennessee, Kentucky winner will play the winner of this game. Houston minus 7.5, over under 132.5. Really quickly, your thoughts on this game and who wins?
I'm going to go Houston. I think I don't really like the matchup for Purdue here and Braden. I love Braden Smith. He's one of the best guards in the country, the best guard in the Big Ten. One player of the year, I do believe. I just like Houston kind of locking him down. It just comes off as a Kelvin Sampson like specialty. LJ Cryer, all throwing different bodies at him. Those Milo Suzanne, Jawan Roberts. Those are grown men. I like Houston to get the nod here.
Yeah, I like Houston as well in this game. Houston beat up on SIU Edwardsville, by the way, then beat Gonzaga to get this point. Purdue beat High Point, and then beat McNeese to get here. But I like Houston as well.
Trey Kaufman-Renn, their big guy down low for Purdue, in the front court will be key against some of those bigger bodies like Juwan Roberts Houston has.
Yeah. Again, it's going to be an electric weekend, Dave. We've got some great matchups. As much as people may have complained about the opening weekend and what it didn't deliver, what it did deliver.
We get this. We just had to wait an extra week.
Second weekend. And I think these games, Dave, I will be really surprised if the majority of these games don't come down to the wire. I will be really, really surprised. I mean, I think a few, like I said, I like Bama to cover. I could see Florida covering. But I think for the most part, it's going to be a really, really fun.
CP, rank the SEC games. What do you think before we get out of here?
This is just my personal ranking. I think Kentucky, Tennessee is number 1, just from an intrigue standpoint. I'd go Bama, BYU 2. I'd go Michigan State, Ole Miss 3. Auburn, Michigan 4. Florida, Maryland 5. Arkansas, Texas Tech 6.
All right.
And that's tough because Arkansas, Texas Tech is intriguing. And I rank this 6.
I hate saying this because the coaching matchup. So I'm going to go Florida, Maryland being my least interested. And again, like what we're saying, this isn't a shot at Florida, Maryland. Somebody's got to be last. These are all phenomenal games. I'm going to go Michigan State, Duke. I didn't want to put it last because of forget the brands. Just look at the coaching matchup. Chris Beard, Tom Izzo. It's one of the best we get. I'm going to go Arkansas, Texas Tech. Real interested to see can Cal then carry it cross country to San Francisco to the Bay and play really good basketball getting a new Thero back. Does that mess up the chemistry? Texas Tech flying under the radar. That's why I liked them in this game. I think they're the better overall basketball team. And then we have, what am I missing? I'm missing 2, right? No, 3. I'm going to go Auburn, Michigan at 3. And that could be 2A, 2B to me. Or it really could. It could be right there with Tennessee, Kentucky with me. And then I just think the matchup, Alabama, BYU, is going to be really fun. But I could see why someone thinks that's at 3rd or something, too, because I'm with you. See, I don't blame you, CP. Tennessee, Kentucky will be a phenomenal game as well. I think Auburn, Michigan, that front court, Vlad Golden, Danny Wolf against, we already mentioned Cardwell, Barum, and Johnson. That may be the matchup of the Sweet 16 right there. So, man, we got some really good games there. So that's how I'd rank them.
We do. Dave, running through some of these comments again, we appreciate all those tuned in live, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Miss Fight Night agrees with you. Bama BYU is interesting. Aron Frazier, Florida missed 12 free throws with 3 1-and-1s in their last game against UConn. Big Orange just says, go Vols. You got Tennessee fans up in here.
He's wanting the brooms out against South Carolina this week, too. Get him a Final Four appearance. And a sweep over the Cox.
Yes. Stevie G, don't forget SEC is dominating women's Sweet 16 as well. Yes, the SEC is dominating across the board on the hardwood. Aron Frazier says Florida's battle-tested playing in the SEC. They beat Bama, Auburn, and Arkansas on the road.
Not wrong.
Not wrong at all. Big man Bruce Pearl. I think Ole Miss might actually crush Michigan State. Rebs are playing good ball. Izzo is tough, but Chris Beard is good in March too. Do not forget.
No, I didn't forget. That's why they were in my Sweet 16 there, Bruce.
Says finally this game could go like a million different ways. Both teams can win in almost any way. That's going to be a fun one. Ole Miss, Michigan State. It's going to be a very, very, very fun one. Nobody. His name is Nobody. It's Mark Madness, March Pope, the Remarkables on a run. Final thing, Dave, before we get out of here. Monty led off the show with this. 1,700-plus players in the portal opening day Monday. Your thoughts on the transfer portal in college basketball?
Why is the basketball portal? Again, I get the football one a little bit because the school semester starts in the spring and like mid-January for most people. Basketball, it makes no sense to do it in the middle of the tournament because these kids don't report to their new school until the summer. If you just waited 2 more weeks when the season ends for everybody, there's no difference. Well, I mean, what are we doing, dude? It literally makes it. I mean, I heard Nate Oates talk. He was saying Preston Murphy, their assistant, has not been really game planning at all for BYU. He's been locked in recruiting. I heard Stephen Pearl on the next round today. They asked him about matchups against Michigan, and he was honest. He was like, I'll be honest with you guys. The last 2 days, I've made over hundreds of calls. I haven't really looked at Michigan yet. I've seen what they've done live, but he's like, one of our other assistants has that scout, so I'm focused on our roster for next year right now. Which I'm like, that's wild, dude. Yeah, like, and it's unnecessary because like we're in the middle of the semester. Why not just wait another 2 weeks? Football, I get. They have to get it over with before the spring semester starts so they can get enrolled into the university they're now attending. Basketball, there's no end of semester before the Final Four. The last game on Monday night is. Just makes no sense to me. But you're right. It's a lot. It's a lot for these coaches to juggle in the middle of the tournament. You're traveling. Like Alabama didn't go back to Tuscaloosa. They went right back to Newark, kind of camped out, made a base, and from a recruiting standpoint and from a game planning standpoint.
Yeah, the calendar, to say the least, is stupid. So it is stupid.
Really dumb.
Got to get fixed. Dave, good stuff, man. Again, guys, we'll be covering everything this weekend with the Sweet 16, the Elite Eight, and moving on, of course, we'll be reacting to all these games just like we did last weekend. You can expect to hear from us each and every single night, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. As we move into the Final Four, we will go game by game in regards to reacting to each of the games. So just stay tuned with that. We'll keep you updated with all our content. But content bleeding out of the eyeballs, really good stuff. Dave, appreciate you taking the time. Guys, before we get out of here, I do want to tell you about our friends over at FanDuel because, as always, we're brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. This bracket season, FanDuel is letting you make the call because right now new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. That's 200 extra bucks to bet on everything from clutch shots to last-second heartbreaks and even who's cutting down the nets. So if you've been waiting to join, there's no better time. There's tourney action almost every day in FanDuel's amazing bet types like spreads, totals, game props, and so much more. Once again, myself and Dave Shumate will be dropping all of our bets this weekend, and God, I hope and pray we do better than we did last weekend. Tail us, fade us, do whatever you want to do. Who knows? This might be the weekend that we get hot. So be careful which way you go. But no matter what you do, make sure that you visit FanDuel.com/SECU and get in on the college hoops action all tourney long. Must be 21 and up and present in select states or 18 and up and present in D.C. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. FanDuel is offering online sports wagering in Kansas under an agreement with Kansas Star Casino, LLC. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Visit FanDuel.com/RG. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut or visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts or call 1-8778-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York. Once again, guys, we appreciate every single one of you tuning in. Let us know your thoughts in the comments, your predictions for the Sweet 16, who's advancing, moving on to the Elite Eight, and even beyond the second weekend of March Madness. Once again, guys, make sure you like, subscribe, turn on notifications, check us out via podcast, where you get your podcast. You can also find us across all social media platforms, as well as our website, secunfiltered.com. For lead basketball analyst here at SEC Unfiltered, Dave Shumate, I am Chris Phillips. Appreciate each and every single one of you tuning in. Enjoy all the college basketball this weekend, and we will talk to you all on the other side.